Hey guys, and welcome to this lesson for SketchUp for Schools. Today we're going to be designing a hashtag project. Now this is going to be a progression project starting from the original piece of lumber, showing your cut pieces, and then finally your assembled project. You're also going to be developing a 3D text label for your project, and you're going to be setting everything on a workbench. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to go up to our new. Remember, this is always going to be in feet and inches, so if it asks you for that, you select feet and inches. We can see that we have our Freddy here, and so we're going to keep him for our size comparison. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to save our project. So we're going to go up to our Untitled, and we're going to save this as hashtag blueprint project. We're going to click OK. It's going to open our Google Drive. Remember, we're going to be going to our folder that we have previously saved named SketchUp Projects. We're going to select that folder. And now we're ready to get started. So the first thing that we're going to do when we get to this project is we're going to be going to our 3D warehouse, which is these three blocks, our components. We're going to search the 3D warehouse, and we're going to type in workbench utility. So make sure that you spell it correctly and hit enter. Now when that opens up, you're going to be selecting the workbench utility by Jim. And you're going to place that here. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to right click on our group and we're going to hit explode. We're going to hit our select. We're going to select this picture. We're going to delete that. And now we are ready to start with our project. So everything that we design, we're going to design on the ground first, and then we'll bring it up. So let's move our design over. Okay. Now the first piece that you're going to be building is going to be your 36-inch stick. And so that is going to be with your rectangle tool. So we're going to select that rectangle tool. Now the dimensions for this is going to be 36 inches by 3/4 inches. So we're going to type in 36 inches. Remember to hit that shift button, comma, space, 3/4 shift inches. So that's how your bottom dimension should look, 36 inches by 3/4 inches. Make sure to hit enter, and that is going to move your stick. So let's close up those components. Now we're going to zoom in. Okay, and so now this is 36 inches by 3/4 inches wide, and now we're going to make this 3/4 inches thick. So we're going to go down here, we're going to select our push-pull tool, and we're going to pull this up 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 shift inches, and hit enter. And that's our first piece. So after we've built our first piece, now we're going to make it a component. So that way as we move it, we can't destroy it. So we're going to go to our select tool. And there's two ways you can do this. You can either hit this 3 times until it's all selected, or you can drag over the entire shape and it will select it for you as well. Now once it's all selected, you're going to right click on your mouse and you hit make component. We're going to name this 36-inch piece. Hit OK. So now that's our first component complete. Okay, and so now that you have your component, you're going to make your next component, which is going to be your 8-inch piece. So you're going to select your rectangle tool again. This time we're going to make an 8-inch piece. So go ahead and type in 8 inches. Make sure you hit that shift. And it's going to be 3/4 inch wide again. Once you have that, you're going to go to your push-pull tool. You're going to pull it up 3/4 of an inch. Now you have your first 8-inch piece. Now we're going to mark it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our rotate tool. We're going to zoom in. We're going to rotate around so we have that good perspective. Zoom in, and you want to be able to see the top of your piece from the side. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure and mark our 8-inch piece. So we're going to use our tape measure. We're going to mark it in from the end. We're going to drag our tape measure. We're going to let it go, and we're going to go to 2 inches. So we're going to type in 2 inches, hit enter, and that is going to mark our piece, and you can see that it marked it. So this would just be like you would mark your piece of wood with a pencil. So now we're going to go to the other side. We're going to do it again. Make sure you go in 2 inches, type it in 2 inches, hit enter, it marks it. We're going to do that on both sides, 2 inches and 2 inches. Now that we have all 4 marked, now we're going to mark the width of our lap joint. So we're going to be making a lap joint into this 8-inch piece, and so it's going to be a 3/4 inch lap joint. So from the 2-inch guide point, we're going to drag it out 3/4 of an inch. We're going to do that on both sides because we're going to mark it with our pencil when we're done. So we're going to do another 3/4 inch, and we're going to do that on all 4 of our guide points. So 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch. So now that we have those marked, we're going to go to our pencil tool and we're going to mark our guidelines for where we would use our chisels to chisel out our lap joints. Now, since we're in SketchUp, we're not actually going to be using chisels, but we're going to use our push-pull tool. And the width of our lap joint is 3/4 of an inch, and the depth of our lap joint is going to be 3/8 of an inch. So now we're going to push this down, and we're going to type in 3/8 of an inch. We're going to do that on both of our lap joints. There we go. So now we have our second component. And so now what we're going to do is rotate back around, zoom out a little bit, and we're going to make this into a component. So remember, there's 2 ways of doing this. Either you can drag and select your entire piece, or you can triple click until your entire piece is selected. Now, once your piece is selected, you are going to right click on that, make it into a component. We're going to name this component 8-inch lap joint piece, and then hit OK. Okay, now that we've made it into a component, now we're going to make copies of our component. Instead of building it again, in real life, you would have to cut this out 4 different times, and you'd have to make lap joints in each one. But since we're in SketchUp, we're going to do a shortcut. So we're going to make a copy of our component. So the next thing we're going to do is make sure our item is selected. We're going to go to our Move tool. We're going to be there centered on our piece, on face, and we are going to click on it, hit Control, and that is going to copy our piece. And so we're going to do that until we have 4 pieces. All right, now we look at our progression. We started with our 36-inch piece. We went to our 4 8-inch pieces. And now we're going to go to our final piece of our progression, which is assembly. So we're going to make 4 more copies because we want to have these 4 separate pieces on our workbench. So we're going to make 4 more copies of this. So 4 more copies. And this is what we're going to assemble right now. So 1, and then we're going to move over. And this is where we're going to assemble our project. So we're going to make sure we have our select tool on again, hit Control, space it out to where you think it's going to be perpendicular to each other. And now you're going to make 2 more pieces that are going to be rotated. So we're going to make 2 more pieces, and we're going to rotate these pieces. So for this one right here, we're going to start with the 3, and then we'll rotate it, we'll put it in place, and then we'll just make a copy of that one so we don't have to rotate it again. So let's go over here. The first rotation, we're going to go from the top view. So we're going to take our rotate tool. So that's under the move. You see that it's rotate. We're going to have on our blue axis, we're going to click on our piece, and then we're going to click on it one more time. Until it rotates this direction, and now we're going to rotate our piece until it's perpendicular. So now you can see that we've rotated it. Now we need to move it again, so we're going to go back to our Move tool, and we're going to move this until it's in place. And so we want it to be almost imperfect. So we're going to move this. Now we're going to select this one and move it out. And so the less movements you can do, the better. And so again, sometimes it's easier if you just have the right angles. And so we're going to move this over just a little bit. All right. So that's looking pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate those lap joints so that way they are connected on top of each other. So we have to go to the right angle. We're going to go back to our move tool. And this time we're going to be on that green or black axis. So this one we're going to make sure we select it, rotate it up, and wrong one. Let's make sure we have our correct model selected. And now we're going to rotate this around. All right, so now that we have that selected and we've rotated it, now we're going to go back up to our moves and kind of move it up and down. And again, this is the tricky part, so it's just about the angles. All right, so that looks pretty good. All right, so now that we have that done, we're going to unselect. And the last part is that we have to make a copy of this one. So we are going to select it one more time. We're going to go back to our move tool. We're going to hit our control, and then we're going to drag it over to where it needs to be. And so if we can stay with perpendicular lines, that would be better. All right, there we go. All right, and so now we have our assembled hashtag. So the next thing that we're going to do to make this easier to move up onto our table is we're going to select all of these, and we're going to make that into a component. So we're going to right-click, make into a component. We're going to call that component, we can leave it as component 1, no problem. And then we're going to select our assembled hashtag, right-click on that, make component, and we're going to name that hashtag. All right. So now we're ready to move everything up onto the table. And so this is the part that might be a little bit tricky for some of you. And so we're just going to drag those up the best we can up onto our table. And you can see our size of our components are kind of small, but it's realistic, right? So that's about the size what it's going to be. So we're going to make sure that we get onto our table. There we go. So now we'll select this components. We can just select all those components, and then we can move all those components up on the table at the same time. Probably could have done that from the beginning. All right, so now that we're up on the table, now we're going to move them, make sure that they're shown on the table. So again, it's all about angles with SketchUp. And there we go. So now we have all of our components. The last thing that we're going to do now is we are going to make our 3D name. So we're going to move this down. We're going to go to 3D text, which is going to be located here. We're going to make sure that we're at the height of 6 inches. We're using Laura. It's on regular. We have text filled. Our text extrusion is also going to be at 6 inches. And our 3D text is going to be hashtag project. Once we have that, we're going to hit OK. And here's our words. So we're going to bring that up on top of our table. We're going to go to our rotate tool. And then we want to rotate it to be parallel. Right, now we go back to our move tool, and now we move that to the top. And that's it, guys. That is the hashtag project. We have our progression. We started with our 36-inch piece. We've moved into our 4 components that we would be assembling our project with. We assembled our project, and we ended with a 3D text for our project. So the last thing that we have to do is go back up and hit save. And now we're done. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I hope it added some knowledge to your knowledge base and your tool bag. And I want you guys to have a great day. Thanks.